Well, it's the Patriot Radio News Hour on a Tuesday in August. I am Jason. I am the co-host of the Patriot Radio News Hour currently. Joe is on vacation. He should be back tomorrow, but, you know, when it comes to vacations and things, you never know when. Maybe I'll have to have another day to do it by myself, but we'll see. We sell gold and silver. Patriot Trading Group, well before I joined up 8.5 years ago, was selling gold and silver from shortwave radio to being on a couple of radio stations, one in Arizona, one in Colorado. Been doing it for a long time, 30 years. Customers don't have to worry about doing business with us. Anytime a mistake is made, we fix it. Most of the time, we got such good customer service, and you actually have people you can talk to. It's considered old-fashioned, and, gold is old-fashioned, so it fits just fine. I like myself some old-fashioned gold, right? You know, we specialize in those pre-33 gold coins. You know, we like the pre-64 silver. We just like putting precious metals in your hands so that you have value saved, and that's the way we do it. You call 800-951-0592. We had a pretty good gold special yesterday. I'm going to do the same gold special, but I have to adjust the price because gold is moving. Let me refresh my screen here and see. Gold is still moving up here. Gold's been strong today. It's $4,080 is the spot price, up about $26. Silver is flirting back with $60 an ounce. It's at $59.60. It's up about $1.40. And gold and silver's been liking this, just under $60 or around $60, and gold's been liking this $4,000 range. And many times when I've been on the radio, I've said, "Hey, this is the good old days. This is one of those spots where you can get it in this really cool price because it's going to have another leg up." Glenn's been listening to me for years. He's joining me again today on the air. And I don't, Glenn, how many times have I said, hey, this is one of those times where you look back, it's like, hey, I bought my gold at $4,000. And people in the room are like, really? Oh, I can't believe it, right? And since I've been a part of the Patriot Trading Group, Glenn, I've had people come in, I bought my $20 gold pieces for $300, right?
So I started buying gold at $800, and so I'm pretty happy about that, And so you mentioned it's Tuesday. Is it Taco Tuesday? Because we're supposed to have a deal tomorrow, the deal of all deals, because we just suspended the largest airstrike since World War II. This is the 7th or 8th time we've done this, man. I tell you, it cracks me up.
Well, we're gonna hit. We're gonna hit another segment. Let's start hitting that stuff on the next segment. We're gonna hit commercial here. I did want to say, hey, let's. I don't know if this is a downer. I don't know. I remember dates pretty good. Not as good as some people do, but you won't believe this because you mentioned Eric Cedarstrom yesterday, I think, Glenn, on the show. 6 years today. That's when he died. 6 years. You believe that guy that was on the air for all those years? He's been gone 6 years as of today.
That's hard to believe. I loved listening to him. I had to pull over on the side of the road a lot of times because stuff he said was so funny that he cracked me up. He was Joe and Eric were the two best radio personalities because they played off each other so well. And it was because, he called himself a catastrophist, and he's right. And that's the way I am. I mean, I don't like to see the negative in everything, but there's so many easy ways to see the negative in stuff and plan accordingly. And that's how you need to react in this kind of world we live in. It's good to be proactive, but a lot of times you're reacting.
Well, I mean, if you have a very sharp razor and you're going to shave your face, there's some danger if you use the tool wrong, especially when it comes to shaving your neck, right? you see the danger, and you take advantage of knowing what the danger is and responding, right, Glenn?
Exactly. And buying gold and silver is one of the best ways you can be proactive against hedging against inflation. It's just the best way to do it because it's a store of value. You have it in your possession. You don't want to ever buy paper gold if you can. You don't. That's just ridiculous because even if you ask for physical delivery, they don't have to deliver it to you. They can just cut you a check because they oversell these contracts. Was it like 40-1, Jason? Basically, J.P. Morgan. They're horrible at it.
Yeah. Well,
and the COMEX is a lie because there's not enough gold or not enough silver in the COMEX to back up the paper contracts. It's completely a paper silver is a complete lie. Physical silver is for real, and that's what you need to be doing.
The middle of COVID was 6 years ago. The middle of the first COVID year, 6 years ago.
I know. I almost died from it. It was. I was right on the edge.
Dying of whatever they said that it wasn't. Oh man!
No, whatever it was, whatever it was, it put me in the hospital for 13 days. It kicked my butt.
Yeah. Well.
And I didn't get the shot, and I won't get the shot. I will not do it.
The whole COVID thing was such an abomination, and it's funny how forgiving people are. Just we're just letting it go. You got Fauci in front of Congress and doing the little shame parade on him. What does he care? He's made his millions of dollars. There's no way they're going to arrest him or put him in jail. And but I don't know. People died 6 years ago, huh, Glenn?
Yes, they did, and it's a shame.
Glenn hit on a few things about maybe some taco coming up, and are we going to bomb something? We'll get into it with Glenn Biddle on the other side of the break. Patriot Radio News Hour. The number to call, 800-951-0592. We have $20 Liberties for $4,095. The price is up. I was looking, and we're going to stick with these $20 Liberties. It's the best coin to get. I'll talk to Joe tomorrow. I'm going to see if we can get a silver special going for Wednesday. But right now, this is where it's at. Call 800-951-0592. Glenn, you started into where are the prices of things going when the geopolitical games get started? You were talking about a bombing campaign the world has never seen, I guess, right?
Well, that's what Trump said. He said we're gonna have the most ruthless bombing campaign since World War II if Iran doesn't sign the deal. But I'm going to hold off because Saudi Arabia told me to wait to try to get this deal. So I'm going to, we were cocked and locked, ready to go, but we're on hold. Now if they don't sign that deal, well then we're going to unleash it. Like, yeah, sure you are. No, you're not. You're not going to do it. You can't do it because then you go deeper into the hole of the quagmire. And ironically, with 100 million barrels of oil off the market, Saudi Arabia has made huge profits this year, or this quarter rather, in selling oil because the Brent crude is like $108 a barrel. They were selling it for 66, so they're making huge money right now. All they did was shift their production west to the Red Sea, and they're selling it, transporting it off to the Red Sea. Now the Houthis might have something to say about that, but they're making bank right now. They're not that upset about this.
Yeah, you're saying that the oil barons are their dollars per month profit has not been affected, is what you're saying.
But they've made money. And Saudi Arabia has made money. Saudi Aramco has made money, about $33 billion this quarter, in selling oil, even with 100 million barrels off the table right now. That's amazing.
Do you know during the Biden administration, the oil companies made their biggest profits ever? Remember, Biden was supposed to be shutting everything down, and everything was going to, he's going to shut down all the oil, and there was a meeting that Biden had once he won the election, or however you want to view the 2020 election. Once it was decided he was going to be president for 4 years, before his inauguration, he met with all the heads of big business, got in a big room, and his main message was, "Don't worry, nothing will change. Everything was going to go according to plan." And the oil prices were a little lower during Biden's administration, but they were raking it in. And now look, we have a recession that's fast approaching, possibly a depression. I don't know, Glenn. You're there in Maryland. Does it seem like there's a lot of businesses that are just thriving around there? Or is it just kind of like the Flintstones? You got Walmart and Starbucks and Target, and it just, it's like a a revolving picture of the same 5 or 10 stores when you drive through neighborhoods. With almost no, every small business I talked to at the radio station, Glenn, they're all it's just not good right now.
Yeah, all the corporate stuff like you would normally see is doing fine, I'm sure. Now, around Baltimore, they have some issues because of crime. They've run a lot of businesses out of the city just because it's not safe. Apple store closed in Towson, which is a very affluent neighborhood, because the bus service out of the inner city of Baltimore now connects out to the suburbs, and all those problems just ride the bus out into the suburbs where the rich people are, so they rob them out there, and they've made nice areas bad now. But that's just locally. Now, apparently Maryland has the second worst economy in the nation. Our brilliant Governor Westmore, obviously we have the Key Bridge that collapsed 3 or 4 years ago, which they haven't done anything to fix. And they still even have a contract or a site plan or anything yet for that bridge, which is absolutely ridiculous. But he says it's the fastest moving project in this country. Well, that's shocking then, because but all the news, if you turn on the talk radio in Baltimore right now, the Baltimore Orioles, the very mediocre baseball team, traded 3 of their players. One of them was their first-round draft pick 3 years ago, a catcher. Of course, that's what everybody's upset about. Like, oh, my God, this is terrible. I'm like, Meanwhile, the state legislature is having a special session to change the state constitution and redistrict a Republican out of his district, so they have 8 Democrat districts where 40% of the people in Maryland vote Republican. But everybody's worried about some catcher that's just got traded by the Orioles, and that's what's important. And you see all these comments like we and our and like our team and we need to do this. I'm like, wait a minute, are you on the team? Are you an owner? Why are you using all these phrases, we and our? You have no influence on that team. Just shut up. And these people live vicariously through these sports teams. It's very mental, I think, that people attach their identity to these sports teams. I'm not a sports bro at all. I hate it. And honestly, when I saw these posts that came up, like, fire Elias, like he's the head guy for the Orioles that does the player. I'm like, who's that guy? I have no idea who that is. And then this player, whoever he was that they traded, I'd never heard of him, because I don't care. I don't follow it. But everybody's freaking out, and oh my gosh, I just don't understand it. But see, that's the bread and circuses of our country right now. They would rather you focus on stupid stuff like that rather than important things that we think are important, like inflation and
like the bridge,
redistricting and things like that. Yeah, and the bridge, things that will actually affect your life. But the sports guy, he's hot news. And Sophie Cunningham. Now, I don't mind focusing on Sophie Cunningham because she's hot, and I think she's cool with the pointy finger. It's like, I'll watch her all day long. Like the UFC card, oh yeah, heck yeah, I'll watch her. But
you know what? You want to hear? Here's a little fun fact I found out because I was. I look around for things to talk about, and sometimes it's just mind-numbing. But all the suggestions when you're on YouTube, they suggest this stuff. It's like stuff that you would never watch, and sometimes they get you, they bait you in, and or you're scrolling through those short videos. But she has a birthday coming up. That basketball player you're talking about, August 16th. She has the same birthday as Joe. The day that Elvis died, August 16th.
Have a party.
She's going to turn 30. How's that, Glenn? She's going to turn 30. I thought she was Jack's age. I didn't know she was 30. I was like, hey, I wonder if Jack could date her. Or maybe we should go to a WNBA game and see if Jack could propose a date to her. And I was like, oh, Jack's a little. Jack, I don't know, Jack. Hey, you there? Would you date Sophie Cunningham of the WNBA? Do you know who that is?
I'd have to see a picture of her, but I don't know.
Look at it. You got a computer. Look her up.
Yeah.
WNBA, the Indiana Fever. The only reason I even know anything about the WNBA is
you would date her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would totally date her. Trust me, you will.
She is taller than Jack, though.
I'd say she's more attractive than most of the WNBA players.
She's supposed to be the enforcer.
And she's not a lesbian.
She's supposed to be the enforcer that protects Caitlin, whatever her name is.
Caitlin
Clark.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So Jack, she's the one that comes out and beats up the other chicks when they're beating up on Caitlin Clark.
Nice.
And would you say she's not a lesbian, right? She's one of the ones that are not a lesbian. Is that right, Glenn?
No, she's normal, so that's good.
I heard half the league is lesbian. That's what I've heard. Up to 50%. Did I get those? Are those ones beating up on Caitlin Clark? I think.
Yeah, it's like women's tennis and golf, I guess. So, why is that?
Why do we get here? Thanks, Jack. So, Jack, you would date her?
Maybe. She's probably a little tall for me.
Look her up, Jack. Oh my gosh, why? This is a no-brainer, Jack. Come on, what's wrong?
So if she's 6'1", that means if Jack were to marry her and have kids, he would have basketball players for sons. He could be a rich man, have 3 or 4. He could have 5 sons. He can breed a basketball team, and live on Easy Street. He can have the next dream team in the Olympics, and have them all drafted in the NBA. You know, they'd all be. Sophie Cunningham, she's a basketball player. That's even better. She could teach them how to play the game. There you go. You know, I heard she's.
You could send those, or you could send those 5 sons all over the world and start a banking empire too, like the Rothschilds.
Well, I've told Jack that before. It's like, well, Rockefeller had 1 son, and then that son had 5 sons, and Rothschild had 1 son, and then that son had, and it was always the 5 sons that went over and started doing business all over the place and really taking over. And so I have 1 son, so I was like, "Well, Jack, you got to give me five grandsons, and we'll be an elite in something. We'll take over whatever we set our sights on." And Jack has yet to find a Sophie Cunningham yet.
Look her up, Jace. Look her up, Jack. Come on.
He did.
Yeah, I did.
Yes or no?
He did.
I did.
Yeah. Jason, remember, you are a lord. Jason, you're a lord. You have been granted that nobility of title.
Well,
so.
it does say that she has. I haven't looked it up. I guess I saw something where it says she's very. She has a very specific thing she's looking for. She's single, but what her standard, what she's looking for. She's actually been criticized for having a standard. So I guess maybe being a lord and being brother Jason, maybe that all works really well. brother Jason ordained at KHNC, right?
You could do the wedding.
I can officiate the wedding. I'll give Jack some platform shoes so he's a little taller. You know, he just needs a couple inches because I think she's 6'1", so Jack is right there. He's not quite there. So, Jack, we'll get you some platform shoes. Go to the thrift store.
Remember those shoes that Gene Simmons used to wear when he was on Kiss? Those big platform shoes that he had. That's what he needs. Look at the old 1970s poster of Kiss. Every person my age had that poster on, and the Farrah Fawcett poster.
I've seen that on YouTube too. On the ads, they run the ads on YouTube, and they have these shoes that make like this man's 5'8", and then he looks all puny, and they play this puny music, and then they put him in the shoes, and suddenly he's this big, burly, huge guy, and he's way taller than his wife, and he's studly. So they're actually selling these shoes again, Glenn. So you're right. You're right with you're trendy now. You're a trendy.
Doesn't Marco Rubio wear them? I think Marco Rubio has some of them.
Well, he will only be happy when America then goes after Cuba, right? Is that his goal?
Cuba Libre. Cuba Libre.
He's got to be the avenging angel of Cuba that probably doesn't need him or want him, right?
Of course, when the Facebook guy testified in front of Congress, they had to put a pillow in his chair to prop him up higher so he could see over the table.
Fauci's kind of short. Jack, what else do you have to add to this conversation? This sounds like the most professional gold show that has ever been wrought on. I'll have to take it back. This is not the best one, right, Glenn? There's always leg tacos. I always forget. As soon as I think we're having a bad show, I just have to remember leg tacos, right?
Well, I can revert right back to history real quick if you'd like, so it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So,
well,
it's funny. It's funny because some people they all this heroification that's out there, of like all these baseball players and football players and everything. Do you realize that people also think that Lincoln was a great president? So we could go from there if you'd like.
Let's do Lincoln. We haven't really dug deeper into Lincoln. Lincoln is a financial president, so I think that would be good because we're going to hit this next break here. Glenn is very critical of Abraham Lincoln. I would what you would call I don't think he's a hero. I give him a pass. I'm in the middle. That's where I'm always at, Glenn. Right? I don't really have a strong opinion left or right generally, but on this one, I kind of give him a pass. Glenn's very critical, so we'll cover that because this is how the bankers do it, right? they don't have a central bank. They didn't have it in Lincoln's time, and they were trying to get it. And they create themselves emergencies that make presidents make bad decisions out of an emergency. I mean, look what happened with COVID, right? Yeah, Trump on March 13, 2020, declared an emergency and assumed executive powers and started printing away, which got us to double the money supply in about 1 year's time. So, all right, you guys, we'll be right back. Glenn, we'll talk Abraham Lincoln.
Yes, ma'am, back.
Welcome back. The Patriot Radio News Hour, 800-951-0592. We have $20 Liberties today for $4,095. Gold is on the uptick. A peace deal. The Strait of Hormuz is going to open. It's got all the financials all excited, and it's got the markets up. I mean, let me take a quick look here before we get into Glenn talking about Abraham Lincoln. S&P is near record territory. It's up another 100 points. The Dow is up 773 points. It's tipping 54,000. I don't know. Is that record territory? I don't know the record. I don't watch the markets for the NASDAQ. It's up another 470 points. Get ready, man. Here comes the inflation, man. Get ready. Here comes the spending. And I talked about this at the beginning of the year, that there's a whole lot of fresh money just it's flying in here quietly, and it's going to go right into these markets. These stock buybacks, I said early in the year, I said, hey, get to the middle of the year, get ready. Here comes these stock buybacks. People are like, well, if things suck and businesses aren't doing well, how is it that the markets are going up? Well, because the markets are affected by the very top 10% of earners across the country. They own huge amounts of stock and assets, and they're putting it there because they see what's getting ready to happen. And what's going to happen is a lot of printing is going to happen and devaluing the cash, the currency. So get yourself a little gold. 800-951-0592. Glenn, Abraham Lincoln, there was some economics going on leading into his election and the war he's presided over.
Yeah, but before I get to him, you need to cue the Pam Bondi clip. Don't ask me about the Epstein files. The Dow's over 50,000. How dare you? Barbie AG there. Thanks.
Well, a little double look finally at Pizzagate. I found a vid I was looking at last night. I was like, man, I'm going to put this on the air. All the information, all the stuff, and now that a handful of Epstein files are coming out, and they're validating all of the Pizzagate stuff. All that stuff is in the heavily redacted files that they're handing out for the public to look at, what little we get to look at. And we'll be covering that, as soon as you say Epstein, right? And we're talking, the Dow is, everything's great. Everything is awesome. Everything is awesome, right? And no.
How dare you ask me about that when the Dow's over 50,000? Come on, get real. So the reason I don't like Lincoln is because where I live in Maryland. Maryland was a border state during the Civil War. We're technically a southern state, but the capital of the country was in Maryland. Maryland could not fall into the South. And Maryland was going to do whatever Virginia did. Virginia seceded. We were about to secede, so Lincoln, through the legislature, into jail, basically. He put the Maryland Supreme Court in jail. He, invalidated habeas corpus, suspended that. He put 5,000 troops into the state to lock it down. We were basically under martial law. So, and in my county, in the election, Lincoln got 2 votes. So when the Republicans have a Lincoln Day dinner, I laugh at them. I'm like, what are you doing, calling it a Lincoln Day dinner? People hated him here. He's not the great emancipator either, because when the Emancipation Proclamation was passed, it didn't even apply to the northern states. It only applied to places that were in open rebellion against the Union. And the South was its own country, so they didn't care anyway. Like, oh, we don't care. That's just a piece of paper that doesn't belong to us because we're our own country. So shut up. And that's why, if you take the citizenship test, one of the questions is, what did the Emancipation Proclamation do? And they want you to say it freed the slaves, but that is not an accurate answer. It is not right. So every year when I would start my government class off, I'd give them the INS test. It was 100 questions, citizenship test. I said, if you get all 100 right, you get an A for the semester. You don't have to do anything. And I knew that they would not get that question right because number one, it's a false question. And they're like, well, that's not fair. I'm like, you're right, it's not fair, but you didn't get 100%, so too bad. And we would move on. But I knew for a fact. In fact, we took a field trip up to Gettysburg, and we had a park ranger that was walking around with us, and he started talking about the Emancipation Proclamation, saying how it freed the slaves. Well, there were 2 or 3 social studies teachers with me, and we jumped all over him about that, and he had to, he shut up real quick because we knew what we were talking about. And after the tour was over, he's like, man, no one's ever come after me like that. Like, well, because people don't know their history like we do. We're from Maryland. How do you think we're going to feel about that, So that's why I don't like Lincoln. And you know who else gets a pass? FDR. FDR put Japanese Americans in internment camps on the West Coast. He confiscated the gold, and he never gets called out on that. Never, ever. So
what would you have done if you were elected, and here comes the Civil War, and the Southern states are leaving? And the one thing, so Glenn, I agree with Glenn on all of this, but the one X factor I put in there is as to why I believe Lincoln, and I'm not going to go in deep into all the conspiracies and Freemasonry and all the other stuff that you can go deep into. Let's just go with a little more of the conventional story versus a little bit of the what I would say more of the real story, which was England and France were going to join this war. And Lincoln, I think, did the things you said, Glenn, to save the United States of America as a whole. I think if France and Britain didn't show up on the scene to take over their colonies or see what was left after a war, I don't know if Abraham Lincoln. I think it's possible he would have let the Southern states, maybe not Maryland. I guess there might be something more to that, but I think he would have allowed it to happen. That's just me, but when you see the enemy of Europe coming in, getting ready to reclaim, because here's what would have happened: the South would have been allowed to secede without any conflict. They would have very quickly been pit against each other and broken into even smaller colonies back to the colonial state, and then they probably would have been taken down one at a time. And I think Abraham Lincoln saw this, and I think he broke the Constitution on a couple of levels to try to preserve the country in some form, Glenn. That's why I give him a pass. I don't like what he did, but it's that whole presidential emergency, right? There's an emergency. Well, I'm not supposed to break the Constitution. Well, but if you don't, then there may not be a Constitution to break, right? It's a very slippery game that's played when financial interests are creating conflict, Glenn.
Well, if you look at the Vietnam analogy where they say we saved the village by eliminating it, basically we saved the country by eliminating it. And that was just even put on steroids in 1933 with FDR. So the Constitution after the Civil War was nothing like the Constitution before the Civil War.
Absolutely, history, right? We're gonna have more of Glenn Biddle here on the other side of the break. Here, you're listening to the Patriot Radio News Hour. 800-951-0592. Get your gold put away. Be right back. Patriot Radio News Hour. Got Joe on vacation. He's supposed to be back tomorrow. We'll see how that rolls out, and got a radio station where all the vacations are going on. Jack and I are doing the best to put out some decent content for you guys to listen to. And as always, we got gold for sale. 800-951-0592. Glenn, yeah, it seems as these little emergencies happen throughout history. The Constitution, slowly but surely, it's supposed to be a document that you can change, because the founders did a good job of saying, well, we don't know what the country's going to be like 100 years from now. This might be too rigid. It might need to be changed. And if the people of this country all, for the majority, really need a change, they allow it to happen. But, I mean, even my favorite president, Andrew Jackson, bringing in the popular vote wasn't such a good thing, right? He wanted to make sure that everybody could vote. And I don't know, there's something to be said about only property owners having the right to vote. And, you have a skin in the game, right, Glenn? If you have skin in the game, your vote it means a lot more. You're probably paying attention and for the better good of the country. Because if you're a businessman, or if you're an owner of property, if you're, when you own a piece of the country, you need the country to do well for that piece of property to do well. Whereas if you don't own anything, and you don't have really any stake in who wins the next election, it's it used to be that then you don't really need to vote, right, Glenn?
Well, voting to some extent really doesn't even matter right now because of the dilution of the vote and the fact that it's not a secure vote that we can anybody can vote. Pretty much, they want to lower it down to 16-year-olds, and even I would poll my students, and they were just like, "No, don't let us vote. We're idiots." And I'm like, "Yeah, I agree. You are all idiots." And, you'll get smarter as you get older, and once you get the first job and you get a dose of reality and you get taxes taken out of your check, then you become a very interested person in government. Because I always tell them, like, you may not be interested in government, but government's definitely interested in you. And I would have them write down all the different ways the government was interested in them, and they were shocked by it, And for Lincoln, don't take my word on it. There's a great professor here from Maryland, Thomas DiLorenzo, who's written several books, Lincoln Unmasked, The Real Lincoln, that just destroys the honest Abe that everyone knows Abe Lincoln to be. The Lincoln Memorial, where there's actually fasces symbols on his chair, which crack me up in that memorial, strength out of many. Like, if people actually knew what that symbol was, like, oh, wow, that's a fascist symbol. Like, yeah, But everybody's going to try to say, well, he just tried to bring the country back together. Yeah, through sheer force and intimidation and being mean about it, and
smoking,
destroying the Constitution. But
smoking his marijuana.
Yeah, smoking and playing his Hohner harmonica.
Yes.
I think that quote goes, there's nothing that satisfies me more than smoking some hemp and playing my Hohner harmonica.
These are quotes right from Lincoln. He sits on his porch and rolls a doobie and plays his harmonica. He's very America. I mean, I don't, for your criticisms of him, he's a very entertaining president to look back on.
I know you have a song that you used to play about.
Oh, the Founding Fathers. It still plays. It still plays.
Yes.
It plays on Fake News Friday. It still plays on Fake News Friday. It irritates some people. They don't like to hear that George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Thomas Jefferson like to smoke it up. I don't even like marijuana. I've never really smoked or been into that ever at all. But I'm into people freely doing what they want, having free will. People. It's funny when you build up these heroes. Sometimes you think of them in a certain way as being like Captain America, like a fictitious figure. And I made sure when Jack was growing up, I told him to emphasize, what would Captain America do? When he's making decisions, so he would make good decisions. But I never expected him to be Captain America because it's fiction. There ain't no guy running around that can be as good as that guy, right? He's Superman, truth, justice, the American way, always coming to the rescue of those that need, and always stopping the bad guy. And in reality, it doesn't work that way. So it's fun, a lot of people, when you go to conventional, you're a teacher, and you're a history teacher. So sometimes and I know that you taught a different brand of history, but, as time goes on, do you ever feel like you just never were teaching real history ever? Because even as you grow older, you start to see history a little differently, I think, even in your older years, right? Oh
yeah, definitely. We as a group of teachers, we decided we were going to teach hard history, which means we knew it was going to be controversial, and we were fine with that, to provoke thought. And we did lots of writing and document analysis and that kind of stuff to get the kids thinking for themselves. I can stand up there all day and lecture on history, and that's boring. But getting the kids into it and getting them interested and telling them cool stories and showing them a $20 gold piece and having the $20 bill and the $20 gold piece in the classroom and showing them the difference in value of those two things, how they used to be equal and now they're not. And the kids are like, oh, my gosh, and showing them what a 64 quarter looks like and how it sounds different than a normal one. And you can look at the edge to see the copper on a new one. And I'd say, don't go home and raid your grandmother's, change drawer and steal all our silver. I said, but you need to be looking for this, the pennies. And the kids were like, "Oh, this is great!" So I had them on scavenger hunts out looking
Speaking
for
of those
silver
coins,
and
Glenn,
copper pennies. And
speaking of those coins, I don't know if you heard this. I talked about it about a week or two ago. I'll probably bring it up more as time goes on. So they finally actually passed the, or they either I think they just did pass the actual legislation to get rid of the penny, even though they stopped making pennies middle of last year. By the coinage rule, they actually had they had to mint pennies last year because they hadn't been passed, but they passed it this year. But then they added something that people weren't looking at. We're hitting the break. I'll talk to you about this, about the changing of the composition of one of our coins. Was inside of that. It just shows you the sad state of affairs of the devaluing of the currency and how
the nickel's next.
Yeah, the nickel's coming. I think you remember. We'll bring it up on the last segment coming up, guys. Glenn, I think you probably heard me maybe say this, or maybe you knew, but the nickel, the composition of the nickel, which I don't know when they're going to actually do the change, if it's going to be next year, but the nickel that's too expensive. They one of the things was, well, let's get rid of the nickel and round to the dime, because the nickel, the composition, just the 75% copper, 25% nickel that it's made out of, it's the longest running coin that hasn't changed composition in the American money supply right now. It actually has almost 7.5 cents worth of metal in it. Obviously, to produce it costs even more than that. But other than the production cost, it's the meltable value that's concerning, and it's holding over 7 cents all the time now. It used to play around with 7 or 8 cents or 9 cents in the past, but it always came back down to where it was worth 4 or 5 cents. But now it's permanently holding 7 cents, and so they do they want to round to the dime, and they're trying to figure out the consequences of that. Well, they do. One of the things about these coins is that there are metal providers. There's miners, or the guys who make the planchets. When they got rid of the penny, that means the zinc guys are being taken out. And one of the reasons that nickel became a coin years and years and years and years ago, when they didn't have to, was that they were trying to help the nickel miners. Because they were having a sagging couple of years, and so they made the nickel. Instead of the 5 cent silver coin, they had the 5 cent nickel. But what they're going to do is just like the penny which used to be 95% copper, they changed it to 97.5% zinc with a little copper shell. Well, what they're going to do with the nickel, Glenn, is they're going to make it, I don't know if it's going to be the same composition. I'm guessing it's going to be 97.5% zinc with a 2.5% nickel shell around it. And that should be hitting the banks, I think, sometime next year. Glenn, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got ammo cans full of nickels and copper pennies that I've been just hoarding for years. That's maybe someday if we have to, we'll have to melt them down for whatever reason. Maybe
the nickels will be the best, because the nickels will be better now, because with the pennies, you've had to go to the bank if you get any nickels, or if you get them in change, you have to sort them. Right now, currently, if you went to the bank and got yourself, I think it's $100 box of nickels, you currently have about $140 worth of metal in that box, and you don't have to sort them. So I've been flirting with the idea that it's very bulky, it's very heavy, but where else can you go to make almost a 50% profit by just turning your currency into a metal currency like that? I mean, when you buy silver for us, you got to pay the silver value, right?
I'm headed to the gun range this afternoon, and if I pick up all the brass that I shoot, I can go sell it back for $2.50 a pound, which is daggone good money right now for brass. All because I bent over to pick up an empty shell, and the group I shoot with, we pick up every piece of brass we can find, and we scrap it, and we buy new targets with it, so it pays for itself. Great.
Glenn, thanks for coming on with me.
Urban miner.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.